Yo, yo, yo. You know what it is. It's your boy, Mak P, Music and Knowledge. Today is Wednesday, June 1st, 2022, 6 o'clock p.m. I got an episode 3 today with my guy, Vincent Ray Williams. Y'all know what time it is, man.
They is shit more like Guru and Premier. Playing my friends like who contemplate body fear. When they press play in my voice hit their ears, it's gonna feel like when the Panthers start again. This shit more like Guru and Premier. Playing my friends like who contemplate body fear. This shit voice hit their ears, like when the Panthers start again. Shit, nigga. Hey yo, nigga, hey yo. Nigga, hey yo.
To this day.
Yeah, nigga.
To this day.
I know what it is, man. It's episode 3 of the Mak Podkast. I got my guy, Vincent Ray Williams III up here from the Urban Compassion Project, man. Y'all give it up for my guy, Vincent, man. Okay? Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You already know how I started off, though, man. Can I please just get a quick moment of silence for all our fallen soldiers who ain't here today?
Still fighting to this day. To this day.
All right, man. So, yo, Vincent, man, I wanted to ask you, man, who are you, man, and what was your childhood like, you know, growing up in the Bay Area? You grew up in the Bay, right? Correct?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I grew up in the Bay Area. I was, shit, where do I even start? So, I was born at Highland Hospital October 29, 1987. Soon after that, at 6 months old, I was actually placed into foster care. Me and my brother were put into foster care. So early on, it was a rough experience. It got real fast. I like to say, and it just seemed as I was growing up that everything was coming at me full speed. I would like to say that I had this great childhood, where people looked out for me and people took care of me, but I was implanted in a system that, for as long as it's been around, doesn't actually give two fucks about those in it. And so it was rough. It was rough. Jails, institutions, juvenile halls, mental institutions, group homes, foster homes, abuse, drug abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, spiritual abuse. This is before I was 9. I knew firsthand what all of these things were. And so, today I can say that I'm grateful for the experience that I have in my life, the experiences that I've had, the things that I've had to overcome, and the triumphs that I've had. But it didn't come without an eternal battle. It didn't come without a spiritual and a mental battle. Because growing up early on, I was led to believe that there was nothing out here for me. Growing up in Oakland, seeing the shit that I was seeing, knowing the hustlers, watching, people that I trusted do it, but coming from the abuse and neglect that I came from, I gravitated more towards what I was seeing. It was to me safe. It felt safe, and to me, it meant that I could make my own way. I could set my own standards for safety, income, whatever. It never looked like that. That shit did not look how I thought it looked, right? I realized today, but it was rough. It was rough growing up out here, And even as an adult, just kind of being on my journey to it hasn't gotten any different. It hasn't gotten any different or any better.
Okay. Okay.
You still there?
Yeah. I'm still here. I'm making sure. You know, it was just a little behind. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Oh man. Okay. Let me see. Can you hear me now? No? Still can't hear me? Oh man, so we having some technical difficulties, man. Hold on. 1 second, y'all. 1 second, family.
I can't hear you.
Let's see here.
I see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you.
Okay.
Okay, I can hear you now.
You can hear me? You got me? You follow me now? Yo. Hold on, family.
Now it's good.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, man. So, I just wanted to say, man, I appreciate you for sharing that with us. I was just on my last episode talking to somebody about how we need to take better care of our kids, man, and pay attention to them. For prime examples like that, you know? Prime examples like that to keep these children safe out here, to keep them away from that negativity and seeing certain things that children ain't supposed to see. I don't think we understand as adults that a lot of these, things that we even looking at as horror films and movies, we just become so desensitized to these things and the trauma that we don't really recognize it as horror movies and as negativity, and it's so, as extreme as it should be. So I just want to say thank you for sharing that with me, man.
Most definitely.
So would you be able to tell me, so what is the purpose of your organization that you founded, the Urban Compassion Project? What is the purpose of it? Can you tell us about that?
I think to understand urban compassion, right, is to know the difference between experience, right, and the bullshit that we see today. Right, and when I say the bullshit that we see today, I mean, we were chatting before we went live, and you heard me listening to the video about this grant, right? And so, growing up, being in this space where I was a board of the state as an infant, and growing up in that, and consistently being in a position where I had to rely on other people to essentially make decisions for me, I saw early on that the way that the system is built is completely fucked. Right? It makes no sense because the way that it's built, it's actually not built by people who have lived the experience, who can be identified with, people that look like me, sound like me, come from the places that I come from. And so what ended up happening for me is I was actually in prison. So I ended up doing a 4-year, 8-month, 19-day bid on my last round in prison, and I got out on September 19, 2019. And when I came home, I didn't feel like there was anything for me to come home to. This is a little over 2 years ago, and I felt like there was nothing that I was going to come home to. They were telling us on the yard that we had opportunities available for us, right? Everything, all the resources that they gave us were outdated. They were handing us papers and pamphlets and saying, here, these are the jobs that you can get. These are the resources you can utilize through parole. And, I just knew from my experience that none of that shit was going to work out when I got out. I was going to be left to my own devices. My own best thinking. And the decision that I had to make was, first off, off, was I actually going to come home? Was I actually going to come home? Because when the gate slid open, and I tell people this story all the time, on September 19th, when that gate slid open at 4 in the morning, and the tower called my name, Williams, roll your shit up, it's time to go. I yelled out, close the door. Because the systemic fear that I felt about having to come home to nothing, but not wanting to go and do the same things that I had done. I didn't want to hustle. I didn't want to rob people anymore. I didn't want to do the dope. I didn't want to commit more wreckage in the community, right, as I had done. But I couldn't think of anything else but to remain institutionalized and have somebody else tell me what to do. Because the fear was so strong that I would come home and I would have nothing. But with it, I got out and I came home. And so in that process, I had somewhere to go initially. And I went there and things didn't work out. So I ended up renting a room, and I had never seen Oakland through the eyes that I see it today. Right? The only thing I saw in regards to Oakland was, what can I get, who can I get it from, and how fast can I get it? Right? That's all the mindset was. So there was a point where I was walking around the lake one day, and I actually noticed the lights, right? I noticed the lights around the lake, and I noticed all of these beautiful black people, like, mingling around the lake and talking and having conversations and laughing and just being joyous and free. And for the first time in my life, I identified with both the joy, the courage, and that underlying fear that maybe a lot of people may not see, that underlying trauma that not a lot of people see. But I identified with the courage of a whole population of individuals being able to put the shit that we have to go through consistently on the back burner to just enjoy this moment of life. Right? I knew that every single person that was out there had some kind of story going on in their life. And so what ended up happening for me is the pandemic hit, and I just got out. So the job, the only job that I ever truly had that was fulfilling and actually paid me good money, I lost that. I got laid off. So now I'm sitting up at home and I really have nothing to do with my time. I have nothing to do with myself, and it's like being back in a cell. I'm in this little ass room. My head is by the toilet again because the bathroom is right there. Everything that I need to eat is in the room with me, right? I'm not going out. I'm not doing anything. I'm living in Hayward at the time, and they're telling us if we leave the house, we're going to be arrested or blah, 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 because it was shelter in place. All of this shit, right? And my mental started to degrade. Right? Like, I started to break down mentally because I hadn't been out that long, and I had just spent 4 years, 8 months, and 19 days doing 23s and 1. Except this time, the only Philly that I had was me.
Wow.
So, I remember there was a period, there was this place, the Oakland LGBTQ Center, and I would go there for support groups, but it shut down during the pandemic, and I was looking for something to do to get out the house to just be present. And I was asking for volunteer opportunities, and what ended up happening is there was one day in particular that it was the day that it was like, it's time to make a decision, Vincent, right? Like, either I'm going to go back to the same shit that I was doing, or something is going to come through and I'm going to make a different decision to stay on the right track. And so on this particular day, I received an email as an invite to volunteer at the center. Wasn't paid, wasn't any, and that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to get out of my own way, to get out of my own head. Right? And it was while I was working there that these beautiful black people that I had around me that looked like me, that sounded like me, that had been through some of the struggles that I had been through, nurtured in me what I never saw in myself. They enabled me to see my own self-worth in a way that, to be honest with you, sometimes I don't get from my own community. be like, yeah, man, like I'm with the movement and I'm with this and, you know, all of this shit about black culture. But the thing about it is when I have to worry about walking down the street and saying good morning to you and you having an attitude with me, that's not building. We're not building each other up.
Mm-mm.
No longer can you offer somebody a smile and what's happening, how you doing, have a good day, without somebody feeling offended like you coming for them. But that's not what I got in this space.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to see my own self-worth. And one day, because I couldn't go to the gym anymore, I would go and I would work out at this park. You know, it's program time. I've been on the yard. I've been locked up. So you got to get it in. You utilize whatever equipment is at your disposal. And I'm used to playing on the bars. I'm used to getting it on the bars. So I would go to this park and I would work out in this park in West Oakland. And on this particular day, this child walked up to me and was like, what you doing? And I said, I'm working out. He's 5 years old, right? And he's like, why are you doing that? And I was telling him because it keeps me energetic. It keeps my mind right. I meditate. It gives me energy.
Mm-hmm.
And we're having this conversation. And I'm like, do you play? Do you work out? Do you know, what do you do? And he's like, I can't. And I was like, why not? And he was like, we live in that van. My mom won't let me play in the park because she says it's dirty. So this particular park I had lived in. It was the first park that I ever slept in. I had been in a group home on one side of it when I was 8 years old, right, that I had ran from that was very abusive. And on the Martin Luther King side, my family had lived damn near across the street from this park at one point, and I would actually go to the park so I could smoke crack, right, because I was ashamed to go home. But even as a child, I played basketball and I played baseball in this park. It was never an unsafe space for us because it was our space. And to think that this little 5-year-old child couldn't play in this park because it was so dirty and had to actually sleep in a van with his mother and see all the shit that he's seeing around him. This is Martin Luther King under the overpass, under the MacArthur Maze.
Yeah, West Oakland, deep West Oakland. Yeah.
West Oakland. Mm-hmm. So if you know this area, you know that there's a lot of shit going on down there, and it's not something that a 5-year-old child should be sitting in the van witnessing. At least give him this park so that he can have space to kind of use his imagination, right? And so he told me this, and I was like, man, like that's really fucked up. Like I remember being able to utilize this park when I was a kid, so I made the decision to take my check that I had just gotten, and I went to Home Depot, and I bought all of this equipment. I didn't know what I needed. I had no fucking clue what I was doing. I just knew that if somebody didn't take action, there's a good chance that this child will become his surroundings. And so I did that, and I cleaned it on Saturday, and I cleaned it on Sunday, and when I was done, I was tired, but it was fulfilling, and I remember walking back to my car to put the last little bit of equipment back in it, and his mother came up to me, and she asked me, she said, why'd you clean this park? And I said, because your son said he wanted to play in it, and I think he deserves to be able to play in it. And she was like, you would do that for him? And I said, hell yeah, I would do that for him. I know how much this park has meant to the community. You know, when she thanked me, she gave me a hug, and she told me that that was actually his birthday.
Wow.
You know? And so I've always had, growing up, I've always been self-centered, selfish. What can I get? If I do this, what am I going to get in return? And this was the point in my life where I had been trying to figure out what my purpose was, how to give back to the community that I had taken so much from. And I knew in that moment exactly what I needed to do. And so that was actually the birthing of what was at the time Urban Park Cleanup that has progressed in the Urban Compassion Project.
Still fighting to this day. To this day. To this day.
Wow, man. I mean, words can't express how grateful I am just to hear how that came about, the fruition of that. Man, Vincent, man, hats off to you, man. Like really, man, literally, it take a certain kind of courage, to crawl from the depths that you have came. to be where you are today, and you stand as a testament, man, not only for people that's at the bottom, but for people that's, climbing to get to the top, and that's it's whatever you make it to be. There's nobody better than the next person. Just because somebody might not be as well off as you, it doesn't make them any less smart, any less internet savvy, or anything. We cannot judge each other from the way that we live, our clothes, none of these things, because we all need each other at the end of the day. It's no big I's and little U's in this world. This is a really big world that we live in, and we all take part in this together as a universal consciousness. And the more that we understand that, the more we'll be able to care for each other and the things in our surroundings, like parks, like certain neighborhoods that y'all know have histories of, being dirty or having filth, and nobody's doing anything about it. I mean, we got to stop doing that and, start cleaning up not only ourselves, but our communities, man.
I always say that, we used to function, and even when I was young, off this ideal that it takes a village, right? And the unfortunate part about it is I think that people throw this concept of community around so much, that's like, oh, we're a community, and we're this, and we're that, but let's keep it real. A lot of people really don't give a fuck about anything else but themselves. Right? I buy a house in a certain area and I take care of that house, and if somebody's living by it or throwing trash on it, then, I might clean it, but the culture has literally become like, call the police or call the city to come and deal with this shit instead of actually what it used to be, us caring about our communities and investing in our communities in a way that our, like, people just within said community knew that we were going to show up and that it was unacceptable. Right? Like, we held each other accountable. Maybe people were smoking dope and there was shit happening, right? The 80s and the 90s, it was a rough time. But you know what? There was still a certain level of community, of village, right? That was taking place, whereas what we see today is a
Sorry about that, family. We having some little issues, man. Instagram jacking up our service right now. Hold that thought, Vincent, man. Instagram jacking up our service. Hold on, family. Apologies in order, family. We might have to wrap this up. We might have to wrap this up on the phone for y'all just to get this all the way through, man, because Instagram might not let us get it all the way off. It's messing with its service right now. So, yeah, my Instagram just crashed. Okay, so I'm gonna call Vincent back. We're gonna finish this episode over the phone, family, okay? We're gonna call Vincent back, right?
Still fighting to this day. To this day. To this day.
hop right back into it, family. I got Vincent right back on the phone, family. Y'all know Instagram after a certain amount of time, start messing up those lives if you ain't talking, enough negativity and foolishness. We know that it's a war on the hearts and minds of the people, and anytime we doing something positive, a lot of that shit gets overlooked and messed up in the pipeline. So we gonna finish this over the phone. I got Vincent on the line, man. So Vincent, what was that you was telling me about? I'm sorry about that, man. You wanna finish that thought up?
Yeah. So I was speaking about community.
Right.
Right. I don't think, but I know that there is a fear from people that people have kind of subscribed to, where we allow ourselves to say that we are offended by what is happening within our communities, but we're still allowing other people to make decisions for them, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of us standing up and uniting and saying, listen, this is our community, this is what needs to be done, this is how we're going to come together, these are the solutions within our community. And so, maybe for some people it's not going out and cleaning up trash, right? We found that it's not so much about cleaning up trash as it is making oneself available to be reachable, to be compassionate, right, and to show human kindness to the person that lives in their community, right? Sometimes the way in on that is, I say this a lot when I was talking about smiling and saying hi to somebody, right, and people being offended,
yes,
right? But we have seen, and I have personal experience in just being in a fucked up place emotionally and spiritually and mentally, where like somebody smiling and saying, hey, I hope you have a nice day, changed the course of my day completely.
Yes.
Instead, what we do now is we walk by each other with complete disregard unless we feel like we can get something out of the next person. It's that fear that has settled into society today, right, just throughout all of society, that is literally stopping people from taking action within their own communities. And that's why we're seeing our communities go to, for lack of a better term, shit.
Wow. Yeah, man, I be noticing, I try to speak to some of the brothers, some of the sisters walking, in the street sometimes. It be hit or miss, man. What I see most of the time is, before we even, start speaking to each other, man, everybody head in their phone, man. You know what I mean? So it's like they not even really looking to speak or to see who's who anyway. It's just a quick glance left, right, and right back to the phone. So you don't even really get a good chance. You take them from the phone, you distracting them. So you can't even really speak sometimes. Like, there's some of us, man. So it get bad sometimes, man. But, yo, Vincent, man, I wanted to ask you about something I seen the other day on Instagram on the Urban Compassion Project profile. Y'all follow that on Instagram, Urban Compassion Project also. It was something that you titled by the name of Michael's story. Would you mind telling the people about Michael's story, please?
So, first off, let's throw out a couple stats, right?
Okay.
Definitely not a statistic person, but since I do nonprofit work, like, it's a necessity for statistics. But so if you don't know when you're listening in or you tune in on this, be advised that in Oakland, black people make up 30% of the population. But the unhoused population, black people make up 78% of that population. Now, that number looks different online if you look it up, and it'll say 70%, but don't allow that to be your truth, right, in what you see, because we obviously know that shit gets doctored in the media. So, that being said, what we see is that there are so many brothers and sisters that are living on the streets that for, either they've been incarcerated, they've been, they've lost their homes, whatever a person's experience is, whatever they've been through, if they have substance abuse issues or mental health, it don't really matter. The point of it is that 78% of those unhoused, all of those unhoused in Oakland are black. with over 5,000 people being unhoused in Oakland. So there's that. So when it came to Michael, and Michael is, you know, one of the many people that we actually have the honor in working with. And what ended up happening with Michael is he was living in front at a bus stop in front of a building in downtown Oakland. And last week on Thursday, while he was asleep at the bus stop, somebody walked up and smashed his face in with a glass bottle. Now, here's my thing, right? And I don't care about any kickback that I get from this, and if anybody doesn't agree with what I have to say, but the simple fact of the matter is all over this country, we have people that have been increasingly taking advantage of, abusing, and quite literally killing people that are living on the streets. So there's a person that was going around shooting people while they were sleeping, like shooting them point blank range in the head.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In Oakland, people are getting beat up with skateboards, and, you know, we have one person that we worked with who's literally been set on fire 4 times in their truck by a woman who lives in a house, in an apartment that she pays exuberant rent for because she can, but she didn't want to see him in her neighborhood, so she set him on fire. Right, so with Michael's situation, what we saw happen was that somebody took advantage of him in this vulnerable place. He could have died. So we were contacted about it, and we made contact with him. We've been, you know, working with him for a while, and, you know, now we have him on the fast track for services, so getting him linked up with housing resources and other things that he may need, right? I would like to say that Michael's situation is unique, but it's not, right? I would like to say that Michael, you know, is the only person that's out here that has been to school, that has work experience, that, you know, hasn't had his wallet stolen, that actually has an income, but, you know, can't access it because he can't get the card that he needs, right, to access his money. But his story is not unique. The simple fact of the matter is, and it's quite heartbreaking, that we as a society, right, or the powers that be, are so focused on other bullshit, right, and profiting from all of these courageous black people living on the street, that they can overlook shit like this, and you won't hear about this in the news.
Right.
This won't be televised. This won't be on the 5 o'clock news that, you know, this black man that lives on the streets at a bus stop had his face smashed in, and there is footage of the person who's done that, but they haven't been arrested. Instead, Michael actually gets a restraining order to stay away from this place. Right? So it's an issue, but what ends up happening is that we get the opportunity to actually work hand in hand with individuals like him with a model that is quite literally just what is it you need? How can I be of support to you today? Right. None of us think we know what's best for somebody else.
Right.
We don't give somebody else a solution. We don't even try to guide people towards specific solutions. We allow people to come up with their own solutions and their own case plans, because who are we to tell a person what they need to do? More than likely, they already know.
Absolutely.
Right. But that's what happened with Michael.
Man, I've heard stories about, you know, things like that happening, and honestly, in my days of acting real wild and crazy as a young man, I've even participated in doing, you know, some heinous acts like that to people. And I really do my best to give back to the communities. I let them, you know, I let everybody know I love them, you know, regardless of their, you know, status in life, but because of the wrongdoing that I've done. You see what I'm saying? And it's just it's just really heart-wrenching to hear and, you know, bear witness that these things still going on. And yes, like you said, I did hear about the person just shooting people in their sleep and things of that nature. And if you went on the guy's Facebook, he looked like a regular guy, you know, taking pictures on a cruise, a yacht, you know, in the gym and stuff. You look like a regular guy, but the whole time he's out here preying on you know, innocent people that are, you know, vulnerable, you know, because of their living situation. So you never really know who people are, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's best to just, you know, protect yourself, take care of your family, and also check on your friends also, okay?
Let's keep it real.
What's up?
Right?
Talk to me.
This shit is about privilege. Right? This shit is about privilege. You have families that have been rooted in Oakland for decades and decades, generations of, you know, namesakes that have been rooted in Oakland who are being pushed out of their homes, right, because of property taxes going through the roof, right? You have people who have lost their jobs during the pandemic, and other people have moved into the apartment or the house that they were living in, and they have brought with them this culture of entitlement, right? So, take, for example, let's talk about the lake for a moment. During the pandemic, so many black people found themselves without jobs. A lot gravitated towards the lake to set up on the weekends, right, so that they could support their families. Something that anybody, anywhere would do, not robbing people, not stealing, not taking people's cars, committing crimes, or any of that shit that we are stigmatized for, but beautiful people that literally bring their families out, right, and have an enjoyable time. And what's happening at the lake right now is that privilege that has moved in have claimed the lake as theirs.
Oh, wow.
So what we saw on the other side of the lake, on the lakeshore side, is that at one point, like, all of the vendors shifted from that side because of the complaints from the neighbors, right? One woman in particular who has a lot of money, every time she sees something that she doesn't like, which is 20 times a fucking day, she has a complaint to make to the city. And what the city of Oakland has done, and their leadership has done, because they want to keep pulling in those privileged, entitled dollars, is they cater to those people and say, okay, we'll clear this whole stretch off so everybody goes to the other side of the lake. And now on the other side of the lake, not only have they started making people pay on weekends, right? The police come out and they harass people.
What?
They threaten to tow you and ticket you and, you know, do you have a permit? But there was a long time you couldn't get a permit to be at the lake. Building policies and regulations that keep a knee on black people's neck, but how do you want us to support ourselves, right? And so we see this throughout Oakland, that especially with encampments and the lack of services that people have access to, that those with the money that are kind of bringing money into Oakland are the ones who get answered to, whereas the person who's been on the streets for 16 years and is begging for help, that person goes ignored. So Oakland is quite literally catering to the privileged and entitled, and the privileged and entitled know that they have this coming, so they don't mind pushing their weight around. But if it doesn't happen at the rate that they want it to, people are really starting to become vigilantes and think that they're heroes, and they are attacking black people on the streets. But don't nobody want to talk about that, because they want to talk about how there was 137 murders last year and how this happened and how in East Oakland this happened or this black person did this. Like, that's all people want to talk about.
Right. They want to push they small truth when it's a bigger lie going on, you know, and we know that that's what they do, and that's why we need people like my guy Vincent. That's why we need platforms like the Mak Podkast, and that's why we need the people to keep raising awareness, keep sharing these ideas, these topics, and keep going out here into the world and helping and raising awareness and doing your part. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yo, so Vincent, man, we got about about 10 minutes left, man. Is there any current events that you want to speak on, or you want to just let me ask you about some things that I got wrote down over here about some of these current events, man? Because there's some stuff going on, man.
Please, feel free to ask your question. If I feel like I can't answer it, I'll just say pass.
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, well, first, I wanted to ask you. I know that you said you have children, man. How do you feel about the baby formula shortage that's going on in the nation right now, man? What's your thoughts on that?
I actually don't have any children.
Oh, okay. No children.
Yeah, I don't have a. I can't lie and say that I have an opinion about that because I don't know much about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I know that I have a huge opinion on everything that's going on in the country pertaining to Roe versus Wade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And taking away the ability from people to decide what they get to do with their bodies.
Yes.
Right? I do know that there are people of color right now. Somebody is being raped right now. Somebody is being raped right now. Another person. See, right? And so every couple of seconds, somewhere throughout this country, somebody is being raped. Right? A woman is being raped. Imagine how many of them will become pregnant because of that. Imagine taking away a person's ability to decide what they want to do with their own body and have to live with this kind of thing. Right? My opinion is that as a man, as someone who identifies as a man, right, I have no opinion as to what a woman gets to do with her body. And all of these policies and everything that is coming out that is telling other people what they get to do with their bodies are coming from men.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're coming from men.
European men.
In the Bible Belt. Right? Oh, well, God, this and blah, 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 and this and that, and it's all bullshit. At the end of the day, like, all we're doing is creating, or all they're doing is creating more wreckage in a society that's already crumbling, right? And it's just getting worse. So that's my opinion on that. I don't know too much about the baby formula.
Yeah, I appreciate you for shedding light on that. That dynamic is mind-boggling to me. And yeah, as a man, I really don't see how that's something men even have an opinion on, or they're so involved in. It's ridiculous, and just shows the hypocrisy and the ego that runs this nation that we living in, man. So Vincent, man, this has been a powerful episode, brother, man. I really appreciate you. I want to let you know that the 21st Century Black Panther Party, man, we stand behind you. I will be personally coming out to help you do whatever you need help with out here in Oakland. And the more brothers that I get involved, anybody that hears this in the local area or whatever, please come on down. Follow the Urban Compassion Project on Instagram, and stay updated for the posts to figure out where they're going to be at, the events they're going to have, and et cetera, okay? So, Vincent, man, is there anything else you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
I just want to say that, maybe it's just me, but I remember a different time. I remember a different time in Oakland. Maybe things weren't what I could have hoped for them to be. There was definitely a lot of trauma involved. But things worked a little differently. People showed up a little differently in their communities. You can guarantee that you would be able to actually go, the right way depending on how you saw fit for your journey in your life. And so I just always like to remind people that our communities are ours. We have the power to dictate and control what the fuck happens in our communities. A lot more black people are voting today, right? Be smart when you go out and vote. Don't vote for somebody just because you think they got the right color skin, right? Do your research on them. Do your research on them. If we don't like what's happening in our communities, we dictate